Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another album review, and this time it is Black Country Communion, and it's album number 5. This is one of those supergroups, isn't it? And I've got everything they've ever done on CD and also DVD as well. So, what is this album like, and how does it compare with the others? When I first played it, I was impressed. I did like it. I started making notes, but I was almost writing things down like they're comfortable in their skin. They're not having to try that hard, that kind of, not going through the motions, but this kind of, it didn't feel as if they were pushing anything or trying, to change the world or move the music template further forwards or anything. And so I kind of held back from doing the review after 1 or 2 listens. So I had the music playing sometimes in the background and sometimes sitting down to dedicate, a bit of time to listening to it. And then I started to get it. I mean, because all these other albums are fantastic. Not all of them are as good as each other. I'll do a ranking video on these at another time. But also when I think about the live one, the way that in some ways the musicians are all not trying to overplay, but sometimes not necessarily looking at the structure of the song and the bigger picture, more about looking at each individual kind of ego. This is, I've got my own fan base here and I want to make sure that they realise I'm still here, my identity is intact or something. Then I started to listen to it again, and then it arrived. And I have to say that the song structures and the songs themselves, in some ways, are more immediate. How can you say they're more immediate when I didn't get it first time round? I think what I'm trying to say is that the songs have more of an identity, and there's more earworms in them, sometimes not necessarily vocally or lyrically, but actually in the musical motifs and the riffs and the kind of the way that the song makes you feel. Also, in this album, there is a definite feeling that the musicians themselves are looking back over their shoulder and also incorporating some of their influences to what means a lot to them, and they're bringing it into the music of Black Country Communion themselves. So, who do we have here? We have Glenn Hughes, the voice of rock, which I think he might have given that name to himself. Who cares? He's one of the best vocalists in the world. No one does Glenn Hughes. For a man of his age, and people have been saying this since he was in his 60s, when other vocalists are detuning and changing the arrangement of their songs to make sure they can still reach those notes, Hughes just reaches those notes. Doesn't matter where those notes are. And I've seen him on a video from, I think, Australia, where someone gave him a random book and he sang it. Just anything. He's just a phenomenon, a force of nature, and one of my favourite musicians and artists of all time. Joe Bonamassa, one of the best guitarists of his generation, someone who can just apply himself to anything. And whatever anyone thinks of Joe Bonamassa, I just think he's a genius, okay? But he is a total music fan and music guitar nut, isn't he? He listens to music from the past, the present, the future. He just has tremendous respect for all of his influences. But at the same time, he's a blues man wearing that suit. And how many times he's done a live album from the Royal Albert Hall. But he is a technician with feeling. Is the best way of putting it, really. And then we've got Derek Sherinian, who I always feel that people should shine more of a light on Derek's playing. The former Dream Theater and stuff, and he's done jazz fusion albums. He's a brilliant musician. But I always feel on Black Country Communion, he almost kind of like just provides the background for everyone else to kind of play over, really. But on this album, he comes out more, and it makes a real difference to the overall palette of the instrumentation, really. And of course, Jason Bonham, Hughes' dad, of course, was John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. So I've mentioned him last because the first influence in this album, which is apparent, is Led Zeppelin. The album opens with a song called Enlighten. And I've put here in my notes, it's Led Zeppelin drums. Stop-start riff, that typical kind of Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, kind of like, the riff and then pulls back. The riff pulls back. I think it's a Wanton song off Physical Graffiti, that kind of feel. Soulful vocal from Glenn. Emotive, but restrained. You feel that he could equally just turn up the helium control and head towards the heavens, but he doesn't. He kind of holds back. A wonderful bass playing from Glenn. The great fast chorus, speeds up, drops back again. Zeppelin riff. Great driving rock song. Wonderful slide guitar solo from Joe. But kind of pulled back, kind of in the background, not right in your face. Great chorus, really catchy, and you've got a bit of Hammond organ at the end as well. The next track is called Stay Free. Now, this is one of my favourites, and it's one of my favourites because it has to be the funkiest song they've ever done. This has got to be Glenn. And even Glenn Hughes hasn't been this funky for a long time. This is pure funk. But then it kind of changes and it moves. It's a bit like Trampled Underfoot by Led Zeppelin. There is that feel to it. That kind of, the keyboards have that kind of electric keyboard sound, just like Trampled Underfoot. Lots of heavy chords. The great rock chorus as it moves from the funk into rock music with a Stay Free chorus. And then very funky. It's very Hughes. It's kind of less Joe on this in a way. There's a reverb drenched guitar solo. It's got a great groove and it's quite a heavy ending, but absolutely superb track. One of my favorites. Red Sun is a slow mid-paced riff. Again, stop-start riff. Again, the vocal sings a line, then the riff comes back. Another vocal line, riff comes back. Again, great traditional way of writing rock music. Soulful chorus. Great backing vocals, lots of dynamic. There's no clutter. There's nobody is overplaying. No one is thinking, oh, solo, I'm going to go for this now, just open up. No one does that. Nobody oversings, nobody overplays. Everything feels more chilled. And I guess that's what probably made me feel differently, I guess, about the album in that respect. The guitar solo in Red Sun reminded me of Jimmy Page from the album Presence. It just does. You listen to it and let me know. But that kind of tone that Jimmy Page had on the Presence album by Zeppelin, Joe kind of channels that. So the Zeppelin feel is there, more so than on any other of Black Country Communion albums. The next track is called Restless. Now this is Joe's turn. This starts as a really slow blues with gentle keyboards and a really heartfelt guitar solo, and you think this is going to be a blues song, but it changes. Hughes comes in with a really heartfelt vocal, no histrionics, no kind of going for it, and then it moves away from blues as such. There's no obvious chords here. It's powerful and it turns into a power ballad. Lovely guitar, fantastic guitar solo towards the end. Absolutely great track, another highlight. Then we have Letting Go, another stop-start kind of song, hard rock riff, great chorus. It's a great rock song, but kind of like wasn't one that stood out to me immediately. But it's a good, steady rock song. Next is Skyway, another Zeppelin type riff, a groundswell of organ. It pulls back, goes softer, more again a restrained, pulled back vocals as well from Glenn Hughes. Mid-paced song. It's a laid back solo section, lovely keyboards, great song. You're Not Alone. Or Not Alone. This has got one of these kind of what I describe as a walking riff It's got the guitar has a kind of pace that moves around as if you could walk along to this. So if you go for a walk every day, this will be perfect for that. And it leads into a very funky, offbeat riff. It's a great riff, by the way. Lots of kind of spiritual overtones in the lyrics, and I wonder whether there is more of a kind of spiritual aspect to the lyrics throughout the whole album than there probably has been before. But as we know, Glenn is a very spiritual person, so I think that just comes through. I think it's fantastic. Lots of keyboard runs and solos and stuff, and nice heavy solo towards the end. Wonderful bass playing as well. Then we have Love and Faith. Starts with keyboards, authentic, very anthemic, rather, is the word I'm looking for. Very anthemic kind of feel to it. The kind of chords that make you kind of feel good in yourself. It's another Zeppelin mid-pace kind of riff. Joe sings on this one. Hughes on the chorus. Soulful, angst, hope-filled rock music is what I put. It ends with a kind of another Zeppelin thing. The keyboards at the end of Thank You, I think it is, of Led Zeppelin 2, that kind of almost ethereal kind of way that comes in. That's what happens on this track. That can't be by accident. Can't be. Just can't think it can be. And then we've got Gone Too Far. This is quite a fast song, fast 4/4 rocker with the dun, 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 dun keyboards in the background. It's if you took the riff out and placed it in a more recent AC/DC album, it would work. It almost has an AC/DC riff sitting in the background, but because it's Black Country Communion, the way that Joe plays it, it isn't. But you tell me what you think when you listen to that. But great, lovely keyboards behind the chorus, and Glenn Hughes is absolutely epic on this song. Then Open Road is kind of funky rock, 70s rock, bit of kind of Frankie Miller and stuff, and then it changes. I've got to talk about this song in a bit more depth, because this is the last one. This is the Open Road. Now, I put that it's 70s rock, funk rock, kind of like a bit of Frankie Miller, a bit of kind of Doobies, perhaps. And it kind of moves along like that. And then it drops back for the solo. And what happens next makes this my favourite moment of the album, bar none. It pulls back, and as Joe Bonamassa takes this guitar solo, the dial in my head of all the memory banks came alive with where's this feeling? What is this? I've heard it before. And then it was all the pennies dropped. And just take yourself to Mr. Big by Free and Paul Kossoff. And Joe Bonamassa plays a blinder here. I haven't read any interviews. I haven't seen any videos with Joe Bonamassa talking about this. But he's channeling Paul Kossoff from Free Live and Mr. Big on this. There are even little licks which are taken directly from that solo by Kossoff. But he plays it as a homage to Kossoff. As I said, I've not read anywhere that he's done this, but that's what it sounds like to me. This is kind of respect, homage to a great player, and he plays it with such passion, the chords behind it, and just like Mr. Big kind of then starts to move up as everything kind of rolls into place. There's no bass solo or anything, so we are in an original song here. But as it kind of moves into the more heavier side of it, again, Joe Bonamassa is channeling where Kossoff was going with Mr. Big at this stage in the song as well. But the guitar playing is absolutely incredible. I think Joe Bonamassa has done many, many, many jaw-droppingly great solos, but this to me, because of what I feel about stuff like that, it just ticked lots of boxes. And I'm not one of those people that goes, oh, can't you be original? I don't, none of that bothers me. I think where I'm in my life to feel that a musician that I respect. He's kind of dipping into a musician he respects and I respect, the fans respect. He's just bringing it full circle, really. And then you think how this is just going to end, and it's really passionate, the vocals, the solos, everything. And you think, well, this is just going to fade now or end. And it doesn't. It goes back into the funky rock riff from the very start of the track, which is very clever because I didn't see that coming at all. So that is number 5 by Black Country Communion. And already I've because of probably the way I played it to kind of do this review, I probably have played it more intensely than any other Black Country Communion album I've owned so far, which I think probably says a lot as well. But let me know what you think of it. But I'm really, really happy with it. I'm really pleased I bought it. I haven't got it on vinyl. I paid about $12.99 for the CD. It's got a nice little booklet, which you saw going along the bottom of the screen. But great album. Well done, guys. Absolutely fantastic. And any of you want to come onto the Now Spinning Magazine podcast, have a chat about it, just get in touch. Or if any of you know any of these people, please do, because it'd be great to talk to them. But thank you to all of you who watch this and all of you who support me. Thank you for visiting the website. Thank you for checking out the Facebook group and all the different social media channels that Now Spinning Magazine's on, and of course the podcast. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Keep spinning those records, stay safe, and I'll see you all very, very soon.